Live? I don't see myself on the screen. Ah, there we are. Okay. Good evening, guys. Just a little technical adjustments here. Uh, Good evening. 16th of July. We're mid-July. It's 8 o'clock. We're very much in the summer. I guess a lot of people are actually on holidays. So there's not too many people in the chat at the moment attending the webinar. But we have a nice title for you guys, How to Achieve True Confidence. My name is Erik. You can probably tell by my accent, I am not Irish. I actually happen to be Dutch. I came to Ireland like 2 years ago. So bear with me. My English might not always be great. And so sometimes I might be looking for a word, or sometimes I might be looking for a way to express myself. Nevertheless, I hope the information is going to do some good tonight, will be helpful. And yeah, let's see who is online at the moment. So we have Brian. I think, Brian, you just became a new meetup member. Am I right? And then Christina Toth. Welcome, guys. Kyle, good to see you again. We have Myra Clancy. Nice to have you. Nicolene, great. Another Dutch person. Of course, I've seen Nicolene already before. I've seen Kyle before. We're also live on Facebook tonight. We're also live on Instagram. We're live on YouTube. So everybody there, welcome, guys. So just this little introduction about me. 56 years old. I've been living in various parts of the planet, so to speak. The Caribbean and Venezuela, Mexico, a short period in Scandinavia, a number of years in Belgium as well. Now in Ireland. I like that. I like that kind of like that pirate style of living. Now, how did I get to that point? Because just to kick off, I haven't always been that confident, and that confidence actually was at a certain point where I felt I had to do something about it. One of the main troubles I was facing after I graduated, and I actually studied electronics, I studied management science, and I graduated in both. But after I started working, I noticed I had a real difficulty to make cold calls on the phone, and it completely stressed me out. And whatever I tried to do, nothing helped. And so maybe you're a bit familiar with that idea, like, you don't really like to call. That was definitely an area in my life that made me very vulnerable. Like in this competitive world that we live in nowadays, a lot of it's target-based. You have to meet your targets. And one of the things that I had to do was make cold calls to new potential customers. And to be honest with you, I absolutely sucked. I was having stress all the time, and I changed jobs regularly. But the whole thing was I couldn't really overcome it. And it would cause me stress every time I would pick up the phone and start to stutter, or start to become very nervous, wouldn't know what to say, and so on, right? So now there was this little thing that I couldn't do that made me really not enjoy my work. Actually, I started to dislike my work, and I couldn't really calm down. It just kept me nervous, and kept me feeling uncomfortable. So by the time I was actually going home, I needed a drink or a couple of drinks just to relax, but that also wouldn't work. So then the next day, a new day would begin, and a new day full of stress had to be dealt with. So As you can imagine, that starts to affect your life to quite an extent. There's some area there where you feel really uncomfortable, where you don't have any confidence whatsoever. And it starts to affect your health. It starts to affect your family affairs. It starts to affect your work and income and overall your happiness. So fortunately, I found something that actually helped me to fix that. And by fixing it, I mean handle it completely. So I know that there's hope, and also know that there's help. And I know that something can be done about things. Something can be done about our conditions that we are in. All right, so now that you know that about me, maybe you want to share with us, like, where are you from and why you actually wanted to attend this particular webinar. You can be as open as you want. The chat is wide open. You can, you can say, well, I'm just from there, or you can add to it by saying, well, I'm here because I'm running into such and such and such a thing. Yeah. So the whole idea about this webinar is to make it very, very interactive. I have a lot of questions for you, but also these questions will help to make things a bit more clear. Yeah. So go ahead, pop something in the chat. Hey, Nicolene, nice, good evening, good to hear from you. Okay, every topic is good to hear. Fantastic. All right. Anybody else? Maybe Brian. Oh, Fubara the Go-Go. Fubara, where are you from, if I may ask? Yeah, you have a beautiful, although very exotic name. Brian, okay, in Cleveland, Ohio. Nice. Okay, I want to be a better person for myself and the people in my life. You know what, Brian? Actually, I made a visit to Cleveland, Ohio. I actually loved it. It was not the best time of the year. It was in autumn. So it was a bit rainy, but it was absolutely great to visit your city. So it's great to have you. Thank you very much. All right then. So guys, what we're going to do tonight, I'm going to be taking some information from this book. It's a book by L. Ron Hubbard. It's called Scientology, A New Slant on Life. What this book deals with is the very stuff that you might have been looking for in school. And what do I mean by that? In school, you learn how to become an electrician, a carpenter, maybe a plumber or a bookkeeper, an accountant, or a salesperson, whatever. The thing is that in school, we were never taught how to communicate, how to be better communicators. We were never taught who we could trust. We were never taught how we could actually improve relationships, how we could improve understanding between one another. We were never taught how to handle ups and downs, yeah, or how to make sound decisions in life. So there's definitely a need for these kind of tools, right? And you're actually going to find tools like that in this book. So I've chosen a few chapters, and I'm going to give you some snippets, some excerpts from the book, and I hope that will help. And I will give examples while we're actually covering quotes to bring it to full understanding. Okay, Nicolene, good to hear back from you. Also having confidence often. All right, good. Now let's go to the topic of confidence itself, and I'm actually going to start with a new word, perhaps, which is the word integrity. And okay, so I would say a new word, meaning I'm going to launch a new word into this subject. You'll find out that confidence and integrity, they interact. They have a lot to do with each other. So personal integrity, or the word integrity, that word came about in approximately the 1400s. And it comes from, actually, the most modern version would be French. pronounced as integrity, and it would come from Latin. From the Latin word integritatem. All right, now if you look it up, you're going to get a whole bunch of synonyms, a whole bunch of definitions. I'm just going to write a number down here. So another synonym would be innocence. Another one would be blamelessness or soundness or wholeness. Completeness. Purity. And finally, correctness. And that would come from the integer word, from the word integer. I hope I pronounced that correctly. You guys who speak English, please correct me if I have it wrong. Integer, like the number integer, which means a whole number. All right, so integrity has got everything to do with you remaining yourself to the fullest, which could be said the optimum of innocence, the optimum of blamelessness, the optimum of soundness, the optimum of wholeness, and so on. And so the author of the book, he actually made a very interesting comment on integrity. I'm going to take you to page 19, and there is a short definition for personal integrity. Personal integrity by L. Ron Hubbard. What is true for you is what you have observed yourself. And when you lose that, you have lost everything. So what is personal integrity? Personal integrity is knowing what you know. What you know is what you know. And to have the courage to know and to say what you have observed. And that is integrity. And there is no other integrity. Okay, so let's come up with an example and see how that personal integrity, how that actually works in our own lives. Now, so to start off, right away, I have my first question here for you. And maybe you've observed this. Maybe you've observed at some point that you should stop a relationship. Now, whether that was like family ties, because you had a bully in the family, or maybe that was social ties, because you had a friend that was on your nerves, or he would never agree with you, or for whatever reason. Or maybe you've had work ties where you felt like, well, this job is definitely not for me. It's not making me happy. I'm not doing well. I'm not having pleasure at this job, and so on. So here's the question: Have you ever observed that you should stop a relationship because it wasn't good for you, and then you didn't act on it? Whether that was a job, whether it was family, whether it was, social ties. Have you ever observed that? And you were in a relationship, a work relationship, a social relationship, and you felt like, hey, this is actually not helping me. I'm not getting any better at this. I shouldn't be continuing. But then you were not decisive and you didn't act. Have you ever observed that? Or have you ever observe anybody else doing that? Okay, good. So Kyle says yes. Nicolene says no. All right. Christina says, all right, if your B is in by your own will, then your integrity is in and you're fine. I guess you're completely right, Christina. That's fantastic. That's a good answer. All right. So if you would look at this situation, because maybe you have actually seen that in your life, where you would actually run into a decision and then find out, hey, this is not for me. But then maybe for a financial reason you stayed. Or maybe for some other reason you stayed and you didn't act upon what you just observed. And you can see that instantly affects your innocence, your blamelessness, your soundness, your wholeness, your completeness, your purity, your correctness. Does that make any sense? Does it make any sense to you? Yep. All right. Good. Let me give you another example. And this is perhaps a bit more common. Maybe you're indebted to somebody. Or maybe you felt that you acted a bit irresponsible. And you should apologize. Or you should just make up the damage, or whatever. In other words, like come clean, right? Have you ever felt that you should make up the damage or come clean? Like, for example, you had to pay somebody back, you broke something, you had to indemnify it, or, you simply had to come clean with yourself and with the other person. But then maybe you felt like, oh, something is keeping me from doing that, and then you actually hesitated to make that up. Actually hesitated to go into action and handle it. All right, Nicolene, that's right. Okay. All right, Christina, thank you very much. I'm not sure, Christina, if people are actually tracking with the terminology. I do get it, so that's great. And I see that a few more people have entered in. Aganze Romain. Hello, my friend. It's good to see you. It's been a long time. And Fubara. So I'm going to ask you that question again. Maybe you want to share with us where you're coming from, because I absolutely like your name. I suppose you're African. Just out of curiosity. Okay, good. So, Christina, it's all fine. Now, so I just gave you a few examples, right? Maybe you did something, maybe you observed something and you didn't act on it. And my question here is that, does that have an impact on you? Does that affect you? Most likely it does, because you know that you should decide, and maybe you're not doing it, just postponing it. So it kind of like lingers, and it might actually, do something in a negative way to these items. So I would say it might actually spiral you down. Of course, if you observe something and you don't act on it, it's not going to improve things in life. It's going to worsen them, right? So let's have a look at the definition again. Personal integrity. What is true for you is what you have observed yourself. And when you lose that, you've lost everything. What is personal integrity? Personal integrity is knowing what you know. What you know is what you know. And to have the courage to know and say what you have observed. And that is integrity. And there's no other integrity. All right, so I was just going to start with that, with this webinar. Obviously, we have a lot more. Just this question. does that make some sense? Yeah, when you use your own observation and you deny your own observation, you don't act on it, could that cause you eventually to lose some confidence in yourself? Would that make sense? Christina, definitely. All right, well, that's great. So the next question here is, do you think that these kind of instances actually stay around, they linger around in your mind? Like, let me go back to my own example. You know, having graduated, going to work, actually, my personal integrity at that point was not great. I should have become thoroughly aware of the fact that that job and having to make these phone calls was actually killing me, but I didn't act on it. So can you see that these kind of situations can actually leave some kind of mental scars on you? Would that be real? Because actually we're going to go and hover over into the subject of the mind. Yeah, but before we go there, I actually want to ask you that question. Do you think that these kind of situations can leave some mental scars with you? Okay, Brian, yes. Well, that's great. Well, so maybe you want to know what is the mind and how does the mind handle these things? Good. So tricky question here, because obviously mental health seems to be a kind of a monopoly almost. It's predominantly in the hands of the psychologists and psychiatrists. So do you think there is any real knowledge on what the mind is and how it works and how you can actually fix it if it would be broken, or how could you actually bring it into a better condition? Does anybody feel in this group here tonight that these answers are actually known to man? Okay, I can say, yeah, leave immoral debt. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a very, very good answer. Christina, no, I have not had any. All right. Kyle? Yes, with one book. Okay, fantastic. Well, let's go into that whole subject of the mind. Just allow me to wipe the board for a second. Okay, we're gonna do something funny. What I would like you to do is remember primary school. Now, if I say remember primary school, try to get some images. Maybe you can see the playground. And if you see the playground, maybe you can see the tiles or the sand or the grass or the asphalt, whatever was there. Maybe you can see the fencing. Maybe it was bushes. Maybe it was a real fence. Maybe it was trees. Maybe it was chicken wire. And maybe you can see the entrance or the exit. And maybe what's going to come to your mind is the corridor, or how you actually got into school. Maybe what comes to your mind is one of the classrooms. I mean, you can imagine how the classroom was, and maybe you see the blackboard again, and the place where the teacher would sit. Now, just having gone over all that, these examples, has any of you gotten some pictures while I was asking for it? So in other words, have you seen images? Did you get some images of the playground or the classroom or the corridor or the building? Yeah. Have you seen pictures? That is the question again. Please type it in the chat. Have you seen some pictures? Cal says yes. Thank you very much. Nicolene as well. Okay, that's great. Anybody else? Aganse, beautiful, all of it. So I guess you got a picture with every single example. That's amazing. And we see that I see that Camila has also joined us. Welcome, Camila. Nice to see you. We just started a whole new subject, so you're not really too late or whatever. Good. Now, so what does your mind do? Your mind, as you could just observe, your mind makes pictures. Let's say that will be your body. We're just going to sketch it. And your mind makes pictures, and they go all the way back in time. You've been making pictures your whole life. We actually love pictures. That's why people like to see films. That's why they like to take pictures with cameras. That's why they like to look again at old memories by inspecting those pictures. But our mind is actually full of pictures. All right, let's go into the next drill. Now, what I would like you to do is just simply imagine that you are back in your favorite chair in the living room in the house where you grew up as a child or as a teenager. Just imagine that. Imagine that you're in your favorite chair in the living room in the house where you grew up. And I guess you can do that, right? All right, so now we're going to do something funny here. What I would like you to do is from where you're sitting, just point toward the TV. Just reach out with your hand and say, all right, let me see. Okay, I'm sitting right here. The TV would be over there. And if you got that, now find a window, any window, and point to that window. And I would have, for example, a window from where I was sitting. I would have a window right in front of me, a rather big one with curtains. And I would have a window over there. Okay, now let's find a lamp. Any lamp will do. And in my memory, I had a big chandelier behind me. Okay, now finally, where would the kitchen be? Where would you point to? I would say, well, the kitchen was over there. It was in the back of me. That's in my memory. Good, so what do we learn from this? These pictures are actually three-dimensional. They are three-dimensional. You can actually see that all the objects that come to your mind, they kind of like exist in space. You would say, well, the TV is over there, the window is over there, the kitchen is behind me. And there's a funny thing happening here because you didn't point to your brain. It is as if these pictures are not in your brain. You didn't say, well, the TV is over here, the kitchen is in the back of my head, there's a lamp somewhere over there, right? There's a window next to my temple. You didn't do that. This is a different kind of experience that apparently happens to be outside of your body, outside of your brain. So that is a whole new observation, right? So we call that the mind. Your mind is just a conglomeration of pictures. Well, how do you use that mind? Very simple. Let's say you come home, you drop your keys somewhere, you go off into another room, or perhaps different rooms. All of a sudden, you realize, gosh, I gotta go. And you put your hands in your pockets, but you don't find your keys. Now, you most likely don't go running around the house in order to find your keys. Most likely, you're going to look at your pictures. And now your mind or your pictures will tell you where you last put your keys. Right now, if you have a bike or if you have a car, your mind will tell you where it is because you have pictures of it. It's that simple, right? Now, here's a fun question. So we have a body, we have a mind. The question is now, who or what is looking at these pictures? So please pop that in the chat. Who or what is looking at these pictures? Kyle, us, is that plural or is that singular? Nicolene says, I am. All right. So who or what? That is the question. Who or what is looking at these pictures? Some people would say the brain. Some people would say, I don't know, my consciousness. There's all kinds of answers possible. Maybe you want to share what your answer would be. Who or what is looking at these pictures? And I'm going to have a very, very strong ginger tea in the moment. Okay, Aganse. They came sometimes as dreams. All right. So I guess you're referring by that your pictures come as dreams, right? All right. So to answer that question, who or what is looking at these pictures? Well, you probably guessed it. That was simply you. Okay, so now we can divide man in three parts. We can say, well, there's you, there's your body, and there's your mind. Now, you probably agree that it is very, very, very interesting to know everything there is to know, or anything you can know about you. You're probably very interested in that. Was like you, it's like, okay, well, like you were a kid and you were asking your mommy, where do I come from? Or mommy, what happens when I die? And we have been having these questions all along. And you could say that it's also very, very interesting to know more about your mind. So how come I'm mentally insecure, for example? How come I don't have confidence? What is actually holding me back? Is there something in my mind that causes me to feel that lack of confidence? And if that were true, how could I fix that? That would be terribly interesting, right? Now, a lot of people would start with the body and say, well, I'm not so confident, but I'll try to go to yoga or fitness or do athletics or do perhaps boxing, martial arts, what have you. And try to perhaps pop a lot of vitamins and healthy food into the body. But they probably find out that that wouldn't really handle the confidence much or even fix it. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever gone to a job interview or perhaps did a talk in front of a group of people and you felt very, very uncomfortable or stressed or nervous? Has that ever happened to you, that you went to a job interview or perhaps an exam or you had to do a talk in front of a group of people and you just felt that nervousness just coming all over you, feeling very, very uncertain, not confident at all, stressed? Has that ever occurred? Kyle, yes. All right. Thank you very much. Anybody else? All right, guys. Feel free to use the chat. It's a webinar. It's supposed to be fun, and it's nice to be very interactive. We can be here together as a group and learn something from each other. If you want to share, use the chat. It's fantastic. Nicolene, yes. Camila, yes. All right. Good. So what happened there it seemed that there was something there that seemed to cause you stress. And that something seemed to be controlling you. It totally took control of your body, but you didn't control it. It controlled you. It gave you these butterfly feelings. Maybe your legs were kind of shaky. You felt you lost your strength. Maybe if you had to do a presentation, you all of a sudden felt a dry throat. Your mind, your memory was kind of like shut off. You no longer really knew what to really talk about. So there's something funny, something strange happening there. There's something there that controls your body. It controls you, apparently. And apparently it's coming from the mind. It controls you, but you can't shake it. You don't control it back. You don't have it under control, in other words. So let's see where that is actually coming from. And I'm going to take you to page 71 in the book. And it gives you some information on that. And that chapter is about raising our level of consciousness. So maybe I should just add that you are a consciousness. Right now, you're totally aware of the fact that you're watching a webinar. You're picking up sounds. You're probably aware of the position in your chair, your body position. You're probably aware of the temperature around you. All these kind of things you're picking up. And that will be your consciousness. You can also be very, very conscious about your mind and a host of other things. So on page 75, it says on raising our level of consciousness. So in the first phrase is an organism is suppressed toward death by accumulated pain. Pain in one great sweeping shock brings about immediate death. Pain in small doses over a lifetime gradually suppresses the organism toward death. All right, so let's have a look at that. So here we have some kind of stress that actually feels like a physical pain. And if it wouldn't be perceived as a physical pain, you could also call it a mental pain. And just by clarifying that, if you lose somebody that is very dear to you, you're in pain, you're suffering. That will be a mental pain. Of course, if you're being hit in a game, in a baseball game, for example, you're being hit with a bat, you'd suffer a physical pain. So, pain in one great sweeping shock brings about immediate death. So if there's too much pain, all of a sudden, that would result in death. And we're going to take death not just as the body death, but also death of consciousness. Now you could also have the situation where pain comes in small doses, gradually over a longer period of time. And maybe you've heard somebody saying in the past something like, if those things wouldn't have happened in my life would be so much better today. And what he's actually referring to is that he actually had a number of small doses of accumulated pain over time, actually bringing his consciousness down. And as a result, body-wise, he probably went into a poorer condition as well. Good. Now, just a question for you guys. Who can give an example of a small dose of pain that you have seen with yourself or with somebody else that really caused an effect on that individual? And kind of like it reduced the life potential of the person. Nicolene, a nasty remark. Yeah, all right. That could be like a small doses of pain, right? Because it will actually temper with your confidence. It might make you question yourself, right? Christina, thank you very much. It was awesome. I'm in Clearwater, Florida. Okay, need to go back to work. All right, Christina. Thank you. It was great to have you. Kyle, bad relationship. All right. Agansa, bad comment from parent, friend, and family. All right. Yeah, so we actually are talking about, in all these examples, we're talking about mental pain. Okay. Now, you could have, for example, the loss of a loved one. Let me continue on that. So, if your consciousness is in a very good shape, you're surviving very well. You make the optimum decisions in life. You have a lot of vitality. Your emotional mood is probably one of being happy, being very enthusiastic, being cheerful. Whereas you've started to accumulate losses and upsets, disagreements, physical pains, and that will actually bring your consciousness down. It brings your vitality down. It brings your energy levels down, and it puts your body in a worse and worse and worse condition until eventually it would be over. So on page 27 in the book, it says, the loss of a loved one is also a loss of survival. The loss of a possession is also the loss of survival potential. So let's say you had a possession and that was really dear to you, and somebody took it away. Maybe it was stolen. Maybe you lost it. So that reduced your survival potential. Let's say you had a pet animal, and all of a sudden that pet animal was gone. Or maybe you had toys as a kid, and your parents threw it away. Somebody else threw it away. That would be the loss of your survival potential. So then what happens is that one confuses physical pain and loss, and it becomes such a thing as mental pain. Now, there was a discovery that this pain could be nullified or erased with a return to full consciousness and a rehabilitation toward survival. Now, if you care to read the book, you'll find out that there's certain moments of pain stored in the mind. And that is actually how memories can become painful. Memories can become painful because they're simply painful incidents that happened, and they reduced your survival potential. So accumulated physical pain, accumulated losses bring about a reduction of consciousness, a reduction of physical health, and a reduction of the will to live. Now, here's the good news. You erase or nullify, which is to say, bring to zero, you erase or nullify the physical pain, the losses of a lifetime, and the vitality returns. So if you restore a person's full consciousness, you also restore his full life potential. Now that can be done. All right, so let me ask you that, let me give you another example. Have you ever thought that you could be more, that you could do more, that you could achieve more in life, but something was holding you back, was keeping you back? Have you ever had that thought? Gosh, I could be better. I could be better. I could do better. I could achieve more in life. I'm positive about that. I just don't know how, but I think I can. Have you ever had that idea? Christina's lecture would be awesome to advertise on LinkedIn for new business people in Ireland Globe. Loved your lecture. Okay, we'll join staff in Dublin. That's amazing. Okay, well, I look forward to see you, Christina. Nicolene, yes. Dina, yes. Agansa, yes. Fubara, sure. Camila, all the time. All right, so there's the answer. The answer is that you actually do have a lot of potential. Maybe you're familiar with the quote from Albert Einstein, where he said, we probably only use 10% of our true potential. So if that were true, where is the other 90%? Well, the other 90% is simply in there, and it might not be very real right now, but the moment you care to know a little bit more about it and get to understand the subject a little bit better, you'll find out that there's been a lot of accumulated losses, disagreements, upsets, pain, and so on that have reduced your potential, your full potential. And these moments can actually be cleaned up. So you clean that up, this is all gone, and it basically restores you to being fully yourself. All right? So restore an individual's full consciousness, and you restore his full life potential. And the good news is, he says, and now it can be done. Right? Now, that is quite a statement, isn't it? It can be done. To be frank with you, now you can actually raise a person's IQ. You can actually make a person more competent. You can also make a person much more confident. To give you an idea about my own situation about that, making cold calls, that has completely turned around. Instead of being afraid of doing calls, I actually like it right now. It has completely turned around. I can tell you there's certainly hope, and there's certainly a method to reverse these kind of things that you don't want to have. All right, now, if you want to have more data, at the end of the webinar, I'm going to make you an offer on the book, at Newsland on Life, but it's got 15 chapters, which are all life hacks. Yeah, that will give you fantastic data on how to improve a lot of things in your life. Relationships, knowing who you can trust, handling ups and downs, your own confidence, be more organized, be more efficient, get more things done in life, and so on. Cool? Now, let me see if I had another note that I wanted to give you. I think that's fine. We have not too much time. I'm going to ask you another question. Do you actually think that other people can affect your confidence and lessen it? Do you actually think that other people can affect your confidence and perhaps destroy it or lessen it? What do you think? Pop it in the chat. In the meantime, I'm just going to clean up this board. All right. Kyle, yeah, more than we care to realize sometimes. Erdina, yes, but we can't ignore them as well. Very good. Nicolene, I don't feel as myself after a while with other people. Okay. Aganza, yes, if one is not aware. It's a very good answer. All right, now, let's give you a very, very everyday kind of example. Here we have Joe. And Joe is going to his mailbox and he's receiving a letter. And that letter just happens to have very positive news. Joe's getting a letter. That letter contains very, very positive news. Now, what is going to happen to Joe's emotions? Give your opinion in the chat. What is going to happen with Joe's emotions? Camila, your last comment. Thank you very much. When everything is calm inside, the chaos outside does not directly affect you. Very true. Very true. So the more you can remain calm on the inside, the less the outside is actually going to affect you. If you want to know more about that, actually, there's a great deal about that in the book that I'm referring to. Okay, Erdina, positive. Kyle, they will improve. Hallie McField, unfortunately, yes, but it shouldn't. Okay, I think that was with regards to the last question. Thank you very much, Hallie. Nicolene, positive emotions. Aganse, positive, excited, energetic. All right, so I think we got it. You could simply say, well, his emotion will improve. If he was a bit bored, he might be cheerful right now. He might be happy right now. All right, now let's say the next day, he's going to the mailbox again. Now he gets very bad news. He's got very, very, very bad news. All right, so what is going to happen to his emotions now? What do you think is going to happen? All right, Kyle, decrease. Good. I think we probably can all agree to that, right? It's going to decrease. Nicolene goes down. Yeah. So now maybe if he was bored, he might actually get upset. He was bored, but now he might get upset. Or he might get afraid. Like, oh my God, how do I pay the bills? Or he might go in grief and find the whole situation kind of hopeless. Right? So, okay, so you get good news, you go up. You get bad news, you go down. And you probably observed that, right? Okay, now, here's an interesting fact. Sorry for my drawing, was not too great. But here we have the social personality deals in compliments, good news, Is there to help you whenever you need his help, tries to encourage you, can see your viewpoints, perhaps even if he doesn't fully agree, but he can understand you. So the social person, on average, will not really pull you down, but would rather be your friend and have the best interest at heart for you. And kind of like, works like the good news. Yeah, he's lifting you up. The antisocial personality. The antisocial personality will deal in rumors and bad news and critical remarks, make you believe that you're probably not good enough, would never pass on any compliment. So actually, after having been in touch with that person, you actually feel that you went down. Having been in touch with another friend, you actually feel that, hey, I had a very nice conversation today. So now, if Joe is in touch with both guys, he is actually going to do ups and downs. One moment good, one moment bad. He sees this family member or person at work or another social tie, and his mood sinks. And he gets with his friends and he goes up. Now, have you observed that in your life? Kyle, thank you very much. You have observed it. Nicolene, you observed that. So, do you think that this person here will tamper with your confidence? Do you think that person can actually leave some mental scars there? Can actually make you doubt yourself? And actually negatively affect your confidence? Kyle, absolutely. Camila, yes. All right. Good. So thank you very much, guys. I'm going to take you in the last couple of minutes to a very, very interesting chapter. And it's called the antisocial personality. Now, so the author has done quite some research on the subject. And so he says here, there are certain characteristics and mental attitudes which cause about 20% of a race to oppose violently any betterment activity or group. Such people are known to have antisocial tendencies. When the legal or political structure of a country becomes such as to favor such personalities in positions of trust, then all the civilizing organizations of the country become suppressed, and a barbarism of criminality and economic duress ensues. Ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what we are seeing right now in most of the countries around the world. There are people who violently oppose any betterment activity or group. All right? So I'm not going to read all to you, but I'm going to give you a bit more data on the subject, as they only comprise 20% of the population, and as only 2.5% of this 20% are truly dangerous. We see that with a very small amount of effort, we could considerably better the state of society. So now, well-known, even stellar examples of such a personality are, of course, Napoleon, Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, gosh, you name them. And these are well-known examples of the antisocial personality. However, with such a cast of characters in history, we neglect the less stellar examples, and we do not perceive that such personalities exist in current life, very common, often undetected. When we trace the cause of a failing business, we will inevitably discover somewhere in its ranks the antisocial personality hard at work. Where life has become rough and is failing, a careful review of the area by a trained observer will detect one or more such personalities at work. So it is important then to examine and list the attributes of the antisocial personality. I'm just going to give you a few. There's a list of attributes in the book. I've highlighted something that I could use here for the webinar. But the antisocial personality has actually 12 very distinct and exact attributes by which he or she can be recognized. One of those, such a person deals mainly in bad news, in critical or hostile remarks, invalidation, which is make nothing out of something, and general suppression. Gossip, harbinger of evil tidings, rumor monger, once described such persons. It is notable that there is no good news or complimentary remark passed on by such a person. The antisocial personality alters to worsen communication when he or she relays a message or news. Good news is stopped and only bad news, often embellished, is passed along. Such a person also pretends to pass on bad news, which is in actual fact invented. Surrounding such a personality, we find cowed or ill associates or friends who, when not driven actually insane, are yet behaving in a crippled manner in life, failing, not succeeding. Such people make trouble for others. The antisocial personality selects habitually the wrong target. If a tire is flat from driving over nails, he or she curses a companion or a non-causative source of the trouble. If the radio next door is too loud, he or she kicks the cat. Yeah. So it's full of very, very, very good examples that will actually help you to spot the antisocial personality within the family, within social ties, at work, and so on. But very important right now, also in society as a whole. This is probably one of the most important pieces of data you could actually get your hands on right now, especially with everything that's going on the planet. Okay, so Nicolene says, yeah, a dangerous person. All right, guys. So I'm going to almost be ending off. Unfortunately, it's just an hour. But tonight you learned something about personal integrity. And that has got everything to do with your own observations. And if you have, like in the previous picture, if you have accumulated losses, upsets, and there's stuff that you haven't really overcome yet in life, it might actually have introverted you, and you may not even be aware of it, but all that stuff kind of like starts to accumulate, and it tampers with your observation, and it certainly tampers with your going into action and do something about what you observed. And it might lead to you holding back, not being yourself, right? So you learned something about that. You learned something about the mind. I also wanted to throw something in about, the two types of people. It's often overlooked. There's a bunch of real good people on the planet. At least 80%, have the best things at heart for you and other people. But there's a few out there who definitely don't see it that way. And all this stuff has an effect on you and is actually tampering with your confidence. Now, my question is this. What would happen with you in your future, if your observation and your ability to act on it, in other words, your integrity, if that wouldn't better, and if you would keep on going through life the way it has been, and the situation is just getting rougher, where you have kept accumulating upsets, disagreements, losses, pain, scars, what have you, and let's imagine that keeps on going. And you wouldn't be able to fully recognize who you are dealing with, especially people with bad intentions. Now, if all these things would actually keep happening in your life, how would that affect your future? That is my question to you. How would that actually affect your future? Kyle, okay, a spiral down, closer to death. Nicolene, consciousness will diminish, hazardous, all right? You're getting my drift, right? I'm actually trying to tell you, look, we're all in a condition of life, of living life, and it's good to have tools, right? So what if that all would continue? What if all these conditions would continue, and you had no tools whatsoever to stop the downward spiral, or to actually turn it around and make improvements? Well, if that would continue, most definitely it wouldn't end well. So I'm going to take you to page 129 to end off with tonight. And it says here, Scientology, which is basically the study of life. Skio means knowing. Ology means study of. So Scientology means the study of knowing, also knowing how to know answers for yourself. Scientology has slashed through many of the complexities which have been erected for man, and has bared the core of these problems. Scientology, for the first time in man's history, can predictably raise intelligence, increase ability, and bring about a return to the ability to play a game. Which is like, maybe you're sick and tired of the game that you're in right now. You want to have your own business. You want to play your own game. You want to be independent. You want to travel. You don't want to be in that slave kind of system of game that you might be in. So it brings about a return to the ability to play a game. And it permits man to escape from the dwindling spiral of his own disabilities. All right, guys. So after every webinar, we always have an offer. Tonight we have this offer for you, which is a new slant on life. It's an amazing book about improving relationships, about restoring your full consciousness, restoring your full potential, how to handle the antisocials, how to spot them, how to deal with them. Also on efficiency, it tells you exactly what is the secret of efficiency, how you can be more, do more, get more things done, achieve more in life. That is all here. What are your goals? Where are you going? Why are you here? What are you? Scientology got answers to these questions. Good answers that are true. Answers that work for you, for the subject matter of Scientology is you. So this book is all about discovering you. Remember, we're talking about the body, the mind, you as a consciousness. You'll discover yourself in that book in many facets. The book is 17 euros, comes with free shipping. We're going to share the link right now in the chat. And I'm just going to shut my mouth for a minute so you can actually have a look. So, needless to say, if you want change, if you want to improve your conditions in life, get some data on life itself, get some data on knowing yourself. The next thing I want to offer to you, which is a very interesting thing. Maybe you have, after this talk, maybe you have some interest in knowing more about you, which is to say, how well am I doing? How well are my relationships going? How about my activities? How efficient, how active, how responsible am I? Am I a good listener? Am I a good communicator? Do I really understand the emotions of other people? Do I have empathy? And how about my focus? How about my persistence? Am I actually achieving my goals? Am I rather calm or am I rather nervous? And so what I want to offer you tonight, completely free of charge, is a super interesting personality test that you can do online for free. When you do it online for free, it'll come directly to my computer. I will actually be the one who sees your test. And then if you're interested, I'll be very happy to send you the test results to your email or to your WhatsApp number. And we could also briefly discuss on the phone how things look right now in terms of your strengths and weaknesses, and actually what you could do in order to make improvements. So a test example could be something like this. It shows 10 columns. The first 3 columns is all about how you feel about yourself. Then the 4th column shows your certainty. It's got everything to do with your confidence. That's why I'm actually bringing this up. Then the middle 3 columns show everything with regards to your activities. And the last 3 columns got everything to do with your relationship skills. So like I said, it's a test which is completely free of charge, and I'll be happy to give you those results for free, and if you want, even make a recommendation on what it is that you could do to make improvements. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this webinar. I hope you got something out of it. Like I said, unfortunately, it's just an hour, but I hope you got something out of it. I'll just be sticking around. The offer is there the whole night. And is there anybody at this point who has any questions? Carl, thank you very much. As always, I've done the test and it was very beneficial. Okay, yes, indeed, it was great. Camila, no, thank you very much. No questions, I assume. Okay, great. I think, Camila, this was your first webinar that you followed with us. Am I right? Yes, okay, great. Fantastic. All right. Well, guys, we'll just be sticking around for a minute in case there's no further questions. You've been a great audience. Thank you for being here tonight. In autumn and winter time, we're actually going to go back to 2 webinars a week, which will be on the Thursday and Fridays. For now, summertime, it's a bit quiet. People are in holidays, so we're doing just the webinars on Tuesdays. Amazing webinar. Thank you very much. Aganse, I do have. All right. Aganse, you have my personal number. Send me something on the WhatsApp. I'll be happy to get back to you. Okay, guys. So thank you so much again. You've been great. Thank you for the participation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again soon, next Tuesday or afterwards. Bye for now.